Hello children, we are going to learn the poem Refugee Blues today. Okay, so I want everybody to be prepared and pay attention. Now, we shall learn a little bit about the backdrop of this poem, why the poem has been written. Because every poem is written for a special purpose, right? So if you check the history, there are number of poems written during the period of our independence fight or freedom struggle. So during that time, poets used to write poems to inspire the people to fight for the freedom of our country. And sometimes poets write about the beauty of something, river, flower, or feeling for someone. For example, Rabindranath Tagore had written many poems about mother, right? So there will be a reason why the poems are written. So here in this particular poem, The Refugee Blues, this was written by W.H. Auden, and he was an English-American poet, playwright, and critic and lyricist. Now, this poem was written just before the breakout of World War II, which happened in the year 1939. Okay, 1939. So, this was published on the eve of the World War II. Now, so the poet is a German Jew. Okay, he belongs to the community called Jews, and they were tormented or tortured by the people in Germany, Nazis. So that was one of the reasons for these people to leave their country, their own country, and migrate to different parts of the world. So you have to imagine the situation where you are supposed to run away from your own country, leaving behind your properties, your land, your people, everything, and go to a new place and settle down where you don't have anyone, you don't have anything, right? So it is a pathetic plight of the people who had to leave their country or flee the country and take shelter in a different country. So you have to assume that. Mentally you have to assume the plight of those people, then you can better appreciate the poem. So this was written during or just before World War II. And these German Jews had to flee from their country and they had to take shelter in different parts of the world. So the poet has written that he has taken shelter in the USA. Okay. Now another question, when you go and take shelter in a different country, do you think everybody will accept you? No, there will be a lot of protest from the people who are already settled over there, right? So the poet had to go through a lot of distress and unhappiness and problems he had to combat with when he tried to settle down in the new place. There will be a lot of resistance. You will have difficulty in getting a house. You will have difficulty in getting a job. So everyday meal will be a difficult problem for you. So the poet had to go through a lot of struggle before he could settle in. So that is the time he has written this poem. Okay. So this is a wonderful poem. And if you are having any doubts about whatever I have told you now, please write down and we can clarify it in the class. Now, okay, now let us start the poem, Refugee Blues. So let us learn the meaning of refugee. Who is a refugee? A person who is fleeing from the country, that means leaving his country and taking shelter in a different country. For a number of reasons this can happen, right? Probably there is a war which is expected to break out any time, or there will be a lot of communal disharmony, or people are torturing a particular community. In that case, you have to leave the country and go, and these people are called refugee. And blues is a way of writing the poem. So it started or originated when Africans were uh, Africans were made as slaves or made to work as slaves in America. So African Americans were slaves, and the life of a slave is never very colorful or very good, right? So they were writing poems to express their unhappiness. So those kinds of verses are given the name blues. So it is clearly given here. It was first sung by African Americans working as slaves in the USA. It is a slow and sad song. So the tone of the poem is melancholic tone. So in this poem also it is very melancholic. Melancholic word meaning is very sad. So it's a sad poem. Okay. Now let us read the poem. Now say this city has 10 million souls. Some are living in mansions, some are living in holes. Yet there is no place for us, my dear. Yes, there is no place for us. So you can see that the first two lines are descriptive. It is describing about something, and the third line is telling the feelings of the poet. Okay, so the first two lines are talking about the situations, what kind of situations the poet is seeing, and the third line is describing about his emotions, what he is feeling. Now another thing is that he is addressing to a different person. So he is always telling that my dear. So he is addressing to a different person here. It can be a friend, it can be his wife, or a very close companion. That's not explicitly told in the poem by the poet. The only thing he is telling that he is addressing by calling him my dear. Say this city has 10 million souls. So the meaning of which is the city claims to have many people, like millions of people. It is hugely crowded or accommodated, and 10 million souls. So the word meaning of soul over here is people. Okay, the city is claimed to have millions of people living. Some are living in mansions and some are living in holes. So some are living in luxurious houses and some are living in shabby houses or huts, which are equivalent to living in a hole. Okay, so this is the irony brought out by the poet. The upper class or the high strata income families are living in luxurious palatial houses, whereas the people who are having nothing or very low income are living in houses which can be named holes. So that is the pathetic condition. Yet there is no place for us, my dear. Yet there is no place for us. So there are mansions and huts, but we don't have any place to live either in the mansion or in the holes. We don't have any houses. So the poet is talking to somebody. I told you it may be wife or it may be a friend or a close companion. It is not clearly told by the poet. We have to assume. The third line is addressing to someone and he is expressing his emotions. Now, once we had a country and we thought it fair. Look at in the atlas and you will find it there. We cannot go there, my dear. We cannot go there now. So the poet is telling that even we had a country which we used to love and it was very fair. We were very happy living over there. Look in the atlas. Now I can show you my country in the atlas. You can find it over there. But we cannot go there. So if we go there, that will be the end of our life, right? They will kill us. So our own country has become very hostile or enemy to us. So we cannot go there. I can show my country to you only in the atlas. So we cannot go there. So it is the very sad plight of the poet that he is expressing, because for everybody our own country means something great, isn't it? We don't want to leave our country and go to a place. So here the poet was forced to go. If we are going willingly, well and fine, but if you are forced to leave your country, that is very painful. Now, in the village churchyard, there grows an old yew. Every spring it blossoms anew. Old passports cannot do that, my dear. Old passports cannot do that. In the village churchyard, there grows an old yew. The pronunciation over here is not you, but you, Y-O-U-U, the same pronunciation. It's telling that in the village churchyard, so there is the front yard or the backyard of the church where there is a tree called yew which is growing, and it is a fruit bearing tree, and every spring it blossoms anew. So it blossoms only in the spring season. So the rest of the season, probably in the snow season or in a winter or in any other part of the year, any other time of the year, it is very dormant. It is very inactive. You cannot even notice the tree over there, right? So it is almost as equivalent to being dead. But it takes the rebirth in the spring season. It sprouts, the leaves are coming and it is sprouting, and the fruits are borne by the tree. So every year the tree is becoming new by bearing the fruits and the flowers, and it is getting a chance to have a rebirth and show its prosperity, and it is flourishing. But old passports cannot do that, my dear. Old passports cannot do that. Even a tree is able to take rebirth after being dead for a while. But we, the German Jews, are not able to renew our passport. Once the passport is invalid or expired, there is no chance that we can renew it. Old passports cannot flourish again. They are almost equivalent to dead because nobody recognizes their value. So here the poet is comparing the life of a yew tree, which is also having a chance to grow further after being dead for some time. But German Jews, they are not dead, they are very much alive. The thing is that they don't have a valid identity in the country where they had taken refuge in, right? Now the consul banged the table and said, "If you have got no passport, you are officially dead." But we are still alive, my dear. We are still alive. So the consul, that means the representative of your own country settling in another country. The consul, the representative of a country, banged the table and said, so probably he is agitated. That's the reason why you are banging the table. Otherwise, he does not have to do that. So he banged the table and said, or with a lot of assertion, he has told, if you don't have passport, you are officially dead. That means you don't have any identity. If your passport is invalid or expired, you are having no identity. There is no way that we can offer you a job because there is no identity. So you should have a valid passport. But they are supposed to help these people, but they are washing their hands away, and they are, not offering any help to the people. But we are still alive, my dear, we are still alive. The people, the consul is saying that we are dead because we do not have a passport. But we have life. We are alive. What do we do? This is the plight of German Jews. Now, went to a committee, they offered me a chair, asked me politely to return next year. But where shall we go today, my dear? Where shall we go today? I went to a committee, that means they are offering a job to people. So this committee is giving job opportunities. So he went over there and they have offered this person a chair too, and they did not give him a job. But he has asked him to come the next year. So this refugee is probably visiting that committee every year, and he is receiving the same answer every year too, right? Now every year he goes there and gets the answer that come next year. So there is no sincerity from the side of the committee. They have no intentions to give an opportunity, job opportunity for this German Jew. That is the reason they are denying the job opportunities and are politely asking him to come next year. The next year also he is going to do the same thing. So a 1 year period, what will this refugee do? How will he survive? How will he find a job? Where will he live? Now, but where shall we go today, my dear? So a poem can be interpreted in too many different ways, right? So here in this third line, I would like to explain this like the poet is not hopeless. He is telling that where shall we go today? So he is not stopping his job hunt or search for a job. He is going to go and search in another place. So the person whom he is with, he is asking, where shall we go today, my dear? Or another thing, total desperation. Another meaning is total desperation. Where shall we go today? There is no place that we have not banged the door. We have searched the job everywhere. Now where shall we go today? There is no way that we can go and find a job. I have searched in all the places for a job. So these two meanings we can find. Now, came to a public meeting. The speaker got up and said, if we let them in, they will steal our daily bread. He was talking of you and me, my dear. He was talking of you and me. So, we can see the public speeches on the roadside to make the people aware of something. So that kind of a meeting was going on as this poet was passing by, and he came to a public meeting. So there has been a large crowd of people to listen to the speech of a public speaker. And the speaker got up and spoke. And what is that he has told? If we let them in, so if we let German Jews inside our country, they will steal our daily bread. What will they do? They will steal our daily bread. So meaning of daily bread is our livelihood, our job opportunities, our place of living, right? So they are almost equivalent to as thieves. The thieves are coming and stealing. So these German Jews are not very welcomed over there, and they are compared for being thieves. Okay, so if we let them in, they will steal our daily bread. He was talking of you and me, my dear. He was talking of you and me. So the speaker was talking of German Jews, you and me, our pathetic plight, right? This is what the poet has told, because he was not accepted anywhere in the country where he has taken shelter. So a poodle in a jacket fastened with a pin. So a door opened and a cat let in. But they weren't German Jews, my dear. They weren't German Jews. So the poet is telling that even the cats and dogs were free to move around, and they were allowed to go inside a building, or they were accepted, but not the German Jews. So the German Jews had all the restrictions, not the poodle. So poodle means it's a particular breed of dog. Here, poodle in a jacket fastened with a pin. So fastened, the word should be pronounced as fastened. This T is silent. Fastened with a pin. So a door opened and a cat let in. So the dogs and cats were allowed inside, but not the German Jews. So that is the discrimination. Even though they were human beings, they were not allowed inside. They were rejected everywhere because they were German Jews. Went down the harbor and stood upon the quay. So the fish swimming as if they are free. Only 10 feet away, my dear, only 10 feet away. So he was walking on the harbor and standing on the quay. That means a place, platform kind of thing where they moor the boats or they tie the boats. So he was standing over there and he was taking a look of the water. He could see lot of fish, swimming very freely. They are not restricted in any way. They are very free. Only 10 feet away, my dear, that means in the same place. When we are rejected by everyone, but the fish are very happy to move around. They are having all kinds of liberty, all kinds of freedom, but we do not have in the same place, in the same country. Walked through a wood, saw the birds in the trees. They had no politicians and sang at their ease. They weren't the human race, my dear. They weren't the human race. So he was walking through the wood. Wood means the forest, a small forest, and he could see the birds singing their heart out. Very easily they are singing and giving the pleasure to others, and they are spreading the happiness to others, right? And why? Because they had no politicians, they had no partiality, they are not biased, they do not have any favoritism, they do not have any politicians, and everybody is equal for them. They are not segregated by the color or the community, region, religion. No, nothing like that. They are very free. That is the reason why they are happy, and they are singing happily, spreading happiness among others. They weren't the human race. The reason they were not human race, because the human race are making all these segregations and differences. Dreamed I saw a building with 1,000 floors. So he is seeing in his dreams a house having 1,000 floors. It's like a huge skyscraper. 1,000 windows and 1,000 doors. So 1,000 houses, obviously, 1,000 windows, 1,000 doors. Not one of them was ours, my dear. Not one of them was ours. So not even single house did belong to us. We did not have a single house over there, though it was filled with 1,000 houses and 1,000 windows and 1,000 doors. So we do not know whether it is a real dream, or he is dreaming, or expecting or wishing for this skyscraper to have 1,000 doors and 1,000 houses and 1,000 windows. Stood on a great plain in the falling snow. 10,000 soldiers marched to and fro. So he was standing on the expanse of the ground. Okay, it's a vast land where snow is falling. You have to imagine, snow is falling, everything is so white and expanse, vast land, and this German soldiers are marching to and fro. That means they are moving here and there in search of someone. Who are they searching for? Looking for you and me, my dear. Looking for you and me. They were looking for German Jews. They want to capture them. They want to kill them. They do not want German Jews anywhere else. So that is the plight of the German Jews during World War II. Okay. So now that we have finished the poem, but there is a lot more to learn from this poem in respect of poetic devices, meanings. So you have to write down. If any doubt crops up in your mind, you have to write down. We can clarify those doubts when we are having Google Meet. Okay, thank you.